Thank you. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. This is a very exciting day for me. My name is Heather McPherson. I am the Member of Parliament for Edmonton Strathcona, a proud member of the New Democratic Party of Canada. This morning in the House of Commons, I tabled Bill C-329. It's an act to establish a national framework respecting attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which would make ADHD a focal point for federal support working with the provinces. Equitable access to care across Canada for children and adults impacted by ADHD can be achieved if the federal government makes it a priority. Today, I am joined by Juanita Beaudry, the Executive Director of the Centre for ADHD Awareness, and Dr. Joan Flood, who will speak about the importance of access to evidence-based care and about the training and resources needed to ensure appropriate care for Canadians impacted by ADHD. This is a particularly special day for me as well because I am joined by my son, Mac, who has been diagnosed with ADHD, and he'll speak a little bit about the impacts of ADHD and the impacts of treatment of ADHD in this country and his personal story. Because I am a mother of somebody that has ADHD, because I have been touched and our family has been touched by this, I think it means a lot more to me to table this piece of legislation. You know, the impacts on individuals if they have ADHD and that is not managed, if they are not provided with the resources they need to succeed, there is much greater possibility for things like you know, difficulty in school, difficulty making friends, difficulty with addictions, you know, higher risks of incarceration, higher risks of mental health challenges. However, if we do provide the services, if we do provide the resources to those that are diagnosed with ADHD, those impacts aren't there. And the ability to thrive, the ability to use their particular and specific gifts is much stronger. One of the challenges that I saw as we were dealing with ADHD in our family was how difficult it was to access diagnosis and treatment for young people. You know, my son has two parents that are strong advocates that were able to advocate for him, but I saw many children that did not have that same access, that were not able to access the services, that were not able to get the diagnosis, and that would have to manage this on their own. And that's simply unfair. We also know that teachers and doctors across this country do not receive the training, they do not receive the support to be able to adequately address ADHD in our communities. When I brought this bill forward to teachers in Edmonton Strathcona, I have to say that so many teachers were thanking me because they needed the support, they needed the additional work. And then just one final thing I wanted to point out. ADHD is one of the most prevalent childhood psychological disorders that we have in Canada. Right now, there are 500,000 to 1 million Canadian children that have been diagnosed with ADHD, and significantly more adults. So for us to think about the next steps for this going forward, it's vitally important we have a national strategy. It's vitally important that we have the ability to help Canadians across the country to thrive. It's important, and I'm delighted that I get to be in this place speaking about this today. I'm going to ask my son Mac to come up and tell you a little bit about his story.
Today I'm happy to join my mom and experts on ADHD to talk about the importance of equal access to care for those impacted by ADHD. My name is Mac. I am 15 years old. I'm here today to share my personal story about living with ADHD. I've faced many challenges due to my ADHD, such as learning new things, difficulty focusing, and making friends. In addition, paying attention and doing well in school has been a struggle for me. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 10 years old. It took a long time to receive the treatment and support, which impacted my family and I greatly. So I hope that everyone impacted by ADHD can access the support and resources they need to live a healthy and happy life.
What a kid. What a great kid. I'd now like to invite Ms. Beaudry to come and speak and say a few words.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank MP McPherson for bringing this important issue to light. Despite being the most common neurodevelopmental disorder in Canada, ADHD is still very misunderstood, underdiagnosed, and undertreated. Left untreated, ADHD can negatively impact school, employment, relationships, and finances. Very few ADHD resources exist in Canada, and of the ones that are available, most are unaffordable to the vast majority of Canadians. Our centre hears from thousands of individuals and families struggling to find resources in their communities. Wait times to see a trained medical professional can be up to 2 years in some parts of the country. We strongly urge members of Parliament to support this private member's bill and help improve long-term outcomes for Canadians with ADHD. Thank you.
Dr. Flood, if I could invite you to the podium, please.
Thank you. And Heather.
Oh, I took your
My notes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I welcome the opportunity to speak about this, as ADHD is something I'm extremely passionate about. Yes, I am a physician who has a practice of ADHD patients, and that is my area of expertise. I'm also a board member of CADRA, the Canadian ADHD Resource Alliance, and we support clinicians who treat ADHD across the country. We work very well with our sister organization, CADAC, the Canadian ADHD Awareness Centre, that supports patients and families. And both of our organizations are very aware of the urgent need for more attention to the care of ADHD in Canada. And this is my main message. My message is that ADHD is a complex and multifaceted disorder, but it can be successfully treated. We can turn around the trajectory of people with ADHD early on and provide them with a much more successful chance to do well in their lives. I assess children, I assess teenagers, and I assess adults. It is a disease that crosses the lifespan, and it is a disease that we can intervene and help with at all stages. And it is incredibly gratifying to see the success. So it is not difficult to treat. And why aren't we getting there? We're not getting there because ADHD is misunderstood and under-recognized in this country. We're not getting there because there are a lot of myths about ADHD, that it's not a real disorder, that it is not something that is important. It is a neurobiological disorder. It affects the development of the brain. It affects how one controls their attention, their focus, their emotional regulation, and that can impact on one's ability to learn. That can impact your ability to function in the workplace. It can impact your ability to be a good partner, to be a parent, to be a friend. It can also have many other consequences in terms of mental health disorders. People with ADHD have far more depression and anxiety than those who do not. There's far more conduct disorder and issues with the law in people with ADHD, something that we can turn around. And the big issue that is something that is so important today that we are struggling with is substance use disorder. There are numerous deaths from substance use disorder. There are numerous lives that have gone awry from substance use disorder. And yet the treatment of ADHD can overturn much of that. ADHD underlies substance use disorder in 50% of people who have substance use disorder. If we can recognize ADHD early on, preferably prior to adolescence, we can very much turn the trajectory of individuals who are self-medicating with substances, and that has been very well substantiated in the worldwide literature. So I would really like to congratulate and thank MP McPherson for having had the courage and the foresight to bring forth this private member's bill, because it is so very important. I would particularly like to thank Mac, who has been so forthright in telling us about how ADHD impacts him. And he has a great future ahead of him. And partly that is because he has had access to good treatment. He has had access to supportive family and parents and teachers. And we want that across the board for all Canadians. We have presented a white paper to Minister Carolyn Bennett, and we have been delighted to work with MP McPherson in creating a project where we're looking at improving the understanding of ADHD for individuals and family members, looking at better educating educators so that they can recognize ADHD among students and know how best to support them so that they can be successful both in grade school and post-secondary. And lastly, we really need our government to help us make ADHD a required clinical competency for those who practice mental health in this country, whether it be pediatricians, family doctors, and psychiatrists, or social workers, psychologists, and school guidance counselors. They need to understand what ADHD is. They need to understand how it can be treated, both from a perspective of psychosocial treatments, of medication treatments, and of support. But the great news is this is a very, very treatable disorder, and we can get lots of bang for our bucks from a personal perspective for individuals and also economically as a country by supporting these people and allowing them to live their best lives. We know many people with ADHD are incredibly bright and have great talents, and if we can help them foster the executive functions they need to succeed, they will succeed. So again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. McPherson, and thank you, Matt. And thank you, Juanita.
Wonderful. Thank you for your comments, Dr. Flood. So I just want to finish off by saying thank you for being here. Thank you for your telling us your story, Mac. When we talk about bright young men, I know you are one of them. Thank you very much for your expertise. I will be bringing my bill to Minister Bennett. It is hers to use if she so chooses. I certainly hope they will act on this urgently, the current government. I think all of us know that ADHD is something that affects so many Canadians. We all have stories of somebody that we know, somebody that we love, that would benefit from this. So any questions at all from the media?
If you're joining us online, you may use the raise hand function now to ask your question. And I'll just repeat it once more. If you do have a question and you are joining us online, please raise your hand now.
And just to reiterate that is Bill 329, and we will be bringing it forward for its second vote very soon. Thank you very much, everyone.